So, I mean, that's the closest thing. I mean, being even more specific about it and having a lot more people would definitely be our next step.
Well, and we've had guest bloggers, we've had people create course content, bonus content that we're putting into the course, for instance, that we're creating right now. So we have started outsourcing to people in our community, and especially we love taking that stuff to people who have been academy students and who've been with us for a long time, and they know our methods, and they're thrilled about what we're doing, and they're excited and they want to participate, and so that's something that we're grateful for, and they love it, and it helps them, it helps us, it gives more value to our students without us having to spend more time. So it definitely can be a win-win-win all around. All right. Thank you very much, Brent, for that question. Let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. This one comes from Ben, and he's going to be referring to BitTorrent, which, just to explain quickly before we play his question, BitTorrent, for those who don't know, is a technology by which a lot of videos and music and stuff gets shared online, because it's a very efficient way of files being transferred around on networks and things. And while this is, an awesome technology for that kind of file transfer, it's a very heated topic because often copyrighted materials and stuff end up getting shared. And so that's what he's referring to here. But let's go ahead and play this question now from Ben.
Hi, Jay and Sterling. This is Ben Greenfield calling. And I have a website at triathlondominator.com that is a collection of PDFs and audio products that allows anybody to go out and do an Ironman triathlon in about 50% of the training time. Well, I do Google PPC on that, and I also have Google Alerts set up on it. And one day I noticed, based on my Google Alert, that my entire package ended up on a torrent. And within about 2 weeks, my cost per conversion went from about $28 up to $7. That's for a package, which is a steal anyways at $97. But I was simply perplexed and confused and a little bit upset. So I'm wondering, do you guys have any tips for what to do if your product ends up on a torrent, whether legal or otherwise? Thanks for the great podcast, guys. Keep it up.
All right, Ben, that's a great question. I mean, this covers a topic that we get asked about a lot. People just saying, you know what, I'm worried about my content getting stolen because it's a digital download. Somebody could buy it, download it, and hand it out to a bunch of friends. Or somebody could upload it and share it on a BitTorrent site. Or somebody could take my blog content and put it on their blog. Or, and it just goes on and on and on. And this goes back to when I was a software engineer, and we're always wondering, like, oh, are people just going to rip off and pirate our software without buying it? And in the end, in my experience, not only in the 9-to-5 employee world as well as in my years as an entrepreneur, it just doesn't seem to be worth the time and energy to put into fighting that kind of thing or worrying about that thing even. I mean, the time and energy spent worrying and fighting that thing could be much better spent helping the customers who did pay or going after more customers who will pay. Almost all the time we've found in our experience that it doesn't end up hurting profits. And I'd go as far as to say that I don't think it's hurting. I mean, I know the music business and the film business are wanting to blame all their woes on the whole BitTorrent thing. I think that's a bunch of bunk. I think there's much bigger problems because instead of looking at their systems and changing them and making them better, they're mistreating their customers and trying to go out and fight these battles that are just actually alienating their customers more. So that's the broad answer to the whole copyright thing. Now, if there's, a flat out infringement, like if we saw somebody else put a podcast up inside of iTunes and they were more or less reciting our exact same materials or even just taking flat out our audios, well, yeah, we would probably approach them and say, you know what, let's, we take legal action. I mean, it does reach a point where you have to defend your brand and your trademark. But, in most cases, it's just not worth the time and the energy.
Well, and it reminded me that there's a big dating guru, a guy that teaches men how to date, that I remember him talking about when he first saw his stuff start showing up on BitTorrent. And one of the main things he said is he believed that people that found it on there were less likely to buy from him anyway. His courses are pretty expensive and stuff, so he didn't see it as a loss of sales because if they couldn't buy it in the first place, they weren't going to buy it anyway. And he really wanted to help people, so if that helped them and they didn't buy that first product, then that's okay to him. But then he said one of the things he started finding was that people were buying from him and saying that they originally heard him in that way. Like from BitTorrent. So they heard a download that they downloaded something for free that they should have paid for, and then later bought other stuff from him because they heard how great he was and just wanted to actually buy it from him. And I pretty much take that idea with it too, because, you know, I really want to help people, and I believe I am a very strong proponent for value exchange. I don't believe anything should be forced or stolen or any of that stuff in that way. But if there's value, then it should be exchanged. If I get value from something, I'm very much now about wanting to, find a way to exchange that value back. So, for instance, there were a couple of times that I may have checked some things out on BitTorrent and many years ago. And then I realized that, some of that stuff, I now have cable and Netflix and different things. And to me, because I found that value, I'm now paying for services, even though I could easily go and get the stuff for free, because I'm very much about that value exchange. So, but the thing though is, I could have easily kept doing it for free. But it's just one of those things that there's other things too about it too. The quality is usually less. There's all these little things that they do usually to make it so that, there's still the possibility of somebody wanting to get the super high quality of a Blu-ray rather than a really digitized looking episode of something. So there's little ways that you can do it. I don't think I've ever worried about it for us because our Academy is so huge. It would take somebody a month to download all that, get it set up to be on BitTorrent and stuff. And I guess that's one way you could fight it, is just make it so that there's just so much content. They're like,
offer so much stuff, they just can't keep up with it.
They're like 3 courses in. They're like, oh, forget it. Just buy it.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend with a company here locally called Indie Blitz, and they promote independent films, and they have a film out called Ink, or several months back, that they're promoting. And one of the best things that ever happened to them is it ended up on BitTorrent because it got them more promote. As soon as that happened, their Blu-ray orders went through the roof. They hadn't even ordered enough. They're like, they hadn't anticipated that happening at all. And all of a sudden, everybody wanted the high quality Blu-ray, and so that was one of the best things that happened for them. So that, just speaking to what you were just saying. But I'm sure, let's talk to Ben's concern of, he says his numbers dipped and that he's worried that that's why. But I think, we could be wrong, but my gut tells me that there's probably something else going on here. It sounds like you have a triathlon runner program, and it doesn't strike me that triathlon runners are going to be the torrent savvy type. They're going to go out and like, oh my gosh, let me go see if I can find this triathlon running thing on BitTorrent. The only exception I can think of is if for some reason you have one primary source of traffic, like let's say there's a forum online where everybody finds out about you there because they're talking about you or you post there. And if everybody was from that one forum and then all of a sudden somebody came in and said, hey, everybody, I just posted this thing on BitTorrent, don't go pay for it. And even then, I imagine a lot of people will be like, no, that's not cool. I still think you'd have. But so point being, I would take a closer look and see if there isn't something else that might be going on. Tracking where your traffic's coming through, tracking your conversion at each point along the way. There could be some small thing that stopped working, or some small thing that has changed, or some source of traffic that all of a sudden dipped, and it's just coincidental that at the same time you noticed that you were on BitTorrent. So I think the causation link might actually not be there. And so I'd look around a little more. And by all means, if you figure this out, Ben, we'd love to hear what exactly it is that's caused that dip in conversions. But there's our gut take on the problem that you're facing. All right, final question comes from Kimmy. It's a podcasting question, and she also had a quick tip for us, but we'll share that later in the episode. Let's go ahead and play her question right now.